Hey everyone, back with Dave Seaman, Standard Speaker Sports Editor for yet another Dave Day here on SSP TV News. We're going to start locally and then we'll get to the big blue-white game out in Happy Valley this weekend. Dave, Marion baseball and softball off to good starts. It's been cold, it's been up, it's been down, but they've been pretty consistent in the early going.
Yeah, both teams have. The softball team has a new coach in Kyle Faust and really got off to a good start. I mean, all things considered, like you said, with the weather, it's been a start and stop kind of season. You play a few days and then you're off for a few days, and then maybe you'll play 3 or 4 games in a 5-day stretch, and it's going to be that way for the next several weeks because of teams. But the Marion softball team, they've more or less gotten through the first part of the Schuylkill League schedule, playing the interdivisional games against teams that they've had success with in recent years. Now they're going to be stepping up in the next few weeks against teams in Division II in the Schuylkill League, which is always tough. The Minersvilles, William Valley, teams that have won state championships and have been on the state stage before, so that'll be a test for the Phillies. The Marion baseball team, it's a 2-time defending District 2 champion or District 11 champion in their classification. Tony Rudoka does a great job, picking up with Jeff Neat started. That program's been really good for years. They have a lot of talent back from last year's team, and a good start to the Schuylkill League. But again, teams are going to be playing a lot over the next several days. It depends what teams has the real good pitching and can maintain that pace, because it's going to be brutal for a lot of teams.
And Dave, 2 other teams off to a hot start in Schuylkill League softball. Tamaqua and North Schuylkill, the girls, they were supposed to play this week. I think that game got postponed until the first week of May. So they're going to be playing very close together there. So 2 big games coming up for them in the schedule. Let's go national now. 76ers, Dave. The Heat tie the series at 1, and it took a great performance from Dwayne Wade, turning back the clock to beat the Sixers in Philadelphia. But the Sixers should be getting their star back pretty soon.
Yeah, Joel Embiid is itching to get back there. He's been making some comments both in social media and to the media that he doesn't want to be babied anymore. He wants to get out there and play, and obviously the Sixers are a better team with him. You have a 7-foot center who can do all the things that Embiid can do. He adds to their team. They didn't seem to miss a beat when he was injured, though. He hurt his orbital bone, I believe, around his eye, so he's going to probably wear a protective goggle, and just another piece for the Sixer team that's has a lot of pieces right now. Team that's relatively new to the playoffs, and we'll have to see what happens next.
And in that all-Pennsylvania battle in the NHL, it's the Penguins who have a 2-1 lead as the series moves to Philadelphia this evening, Dave. And that's been back and forth, and a lot of goals scored in the games between the 2 teams.
Yeah, there have been, and there really hasn't been a close game going into tonight's game. And it's just it seems unusual that you would have 2 teams that are very competitive, and it's just one team's gotten the upper hand. The Penguins in the first and third games, and the Flyers in the second game. Obviously, it's a huge game for the Flyers to win on their home ice, even the series, and then go back to Pittsburgh all tied, because if they fall behind 3-1, it doesn't really look good for the Flyers at that point.
Penguins scored 2 goals in, I think, 5 seconds, Dave, in Game 3. So, yeah, a lot of offense, at least for one of the teams in each of the games so far. So, Penn State will play their spring game this weekend, wrap up spring practice. Dave, what are some things you'll be looking out for this weekend? You mentioned Coach Franklin talking about his linebackers.
Yeah, a lot of linebackers are trying to sort through. Jason Cambindo was a rock there for the last several seasons, and, who's going to step up there? Is it going to be Micah Parsons, the freshman, or, any of the other, returnees that are coming to that position? Those positions have been battled for all spring practice. If you listen to Coach Franklin's comments, and you watch the media reports coming up Happy Valley, and from what he says, that battle is going to go on into preseason camp. They might not be able to decide who's going to be the starter, and that's a good thing, because you have guys battling. Guys are going to stay sharp, and it seemed like the other positions in the defense are settled. Offensively, I think they're fine. I mean, obviously, all the eyes are going to be looking at Miles Sanders, but Miles Sanders isn't going to touch the ball much in the blue-white game. Everybody knows he's the heir apparent to Saquon Barkley, and Saquon's going to be missed. But I think a big key, and again, we talk about it year after year, is the offensive line. This year, the offensive line looks like it finally has all the ingredients to be really a dominant unit, not only in the first string, but when you go into the second and third string too. There's a lot of depth there, and you have the steadying influence of Trace McSorley.
And Dave, you mentioned Micah Parsons. There's a lot of talented young Nittany Lions players coming up. Lamont Wade, and I think one of the themes heading into 2018 will be how will the younger Lions handle everything. Kind of, I don't want to say a transitional year, but it could be. And there was one spring practice where Coach Franklin was not happy. It was very sloppy, and some of the players saying, "Hey, attributing it to some of the youth." And in fact, I think Franklin mentioned he set them in the situation They were in at Ohio Stadium against the Buckeyes, down by a point, 3 timeouts with just under 2 minutes to go. They did not succeed against the Buckeyes, and they didn't succeed in this practice. Franklin not happy about it. I said on a good note, maybe it was Lamont Wade had the sack on the play that ended the offense's chances there. But Dave, I think that'll be big going into the season, seeing how the youth will come along for the Nittany Lions heading into 2018. A big factor in whether or not they compete for a Big Ten championship or if they have a little bit of a transition year. Well, Dave, thank you so much for your time today. We'll recap the Blue-White game next week here on Dave Day, and make sure you're reading Dave's articles along with Steve Stallone's articles in the Standard Speaker.